With fall here, you're likely revisiting old classics, spooky movies, old campy horror films, or movies that just generally make you feel uneasy or sick to your stomach. When the leaves turn and the temperature forces me to layer up, I tend to rewatch Coraline. Though not a horror movie in a traditional sense, this movie always makes me feel like there are worms crawling inside my body, and I have such a love-hate relationship with it.
I think even after watching this movie, I attempted to read the book, and I was so spooky-ooky that I just never read the book.
I first watched this movie one wintry evening in the 6th grade. It was my very first date. Of course, I was focused on everything but the movie at the time, but year over year since then, I've grown accustomed to an annual rewatch. The characters, setting, and general vibe make me feel both safe and vulnerable at the same time. Surprisingly, as much as I love animated movies, I don't have a lot of stop motion films in my repertoire. This is one of the only stop motion movies that I've watched time and time again. Today, we're chatting through this beloved movie, appreciating its art style, and dissecting its true meaning. Also, hi, I'm Angie. I talk about movies, TV, nostalgia mostly. 6th grade was a very long time ago for me, so I am a lifelong Coraline lover, as communicated here by my very cool shirt. It's the cat. And also, can you believe the cat in this movie does not have a name? It's not like Salem or Thackeray Binks. It's just Cat. Come hang, stay a while, and subscribe if you love movies and you have no one to talk to about these nostalgic favorites. I will be here. I will be your friend. We can talk about it. Also, like this video. If Coraline ever inspired you to dye your hair blue, my hair was blue in the 8th grade for a myriad of reasons. Coraline was one. Ramona Flowers was another one, admittedly. Hinata from Naruto? For my sanity, there has to be other blue-haired girls out there, either in practice or in spirit. Okay, so a big reason why I have such a love-hate relationship with this movie is because the first act is so fugly that it makes me physically ill. I'm a Libra, okay? I'm a Libra. I'm a lover of all things beautiful, pleasing to the eye, pleasing to the ear. Beauty is subjective, of course, but every time I rewatch this movie, I cannot stand how dull, gray, and wet this movie is for like the majority of it. After the intro sequence, we meet Coraline in a very wet Oregon.
And like that's the point. That's the point, because when she goes into like her other universe, her other world, it's so beautiful and so colorful. Like, duh, that's why it looks so ugh.
No shade to Oregon, okay? No shade to Oregon. I've never been there. Though when I watch this movie is like the only movie that I like set in Oregon that I've seen. It doesn't like incentivize me to ever go there, you know? This is certainly the hate part of that relationship, though I will say the filmmakers did such a phenomenal job at creating this universe where Coraline is entirely isolated, trying to entertain herself, failing miserably at making friends with her neighbors, and she's just miserable. I feel miserable. I feel miserable watching Coraline try to navigate this time in her life, this very transitional time. And I think it's incredible that a stop motion movie made of clay can make me feel such a visceral reaction to this made-up universe. From the grimy, dated wallpaper to the cracks in the ceiling, empty cabinets, and the greenish glow of the kitchen light, I feel dirty and out of place when I'm watching it. That said, the work that Laika Studios did in making this movie is nothing short of awe-inspiring. Whether you're a fan of stop motion or not, you need to watch this mini documentary that Laika put out, kind of combing through the details of how the movie got made in the first place. Again, I myself am not a filmmaker, and the only familiarity I have with stop motion are the YouTube music videos that I used to make when I was 12 years old to like the Ready Set's Love Like Whoa, or like some Kesha song, which mind you was very difficult with no tools but a MacBook, a photo booth, and iMovie. Okay, very difficult to make like a 3-minute terrible music video. Okay, so you can only imagine how difficult this movie was to be made. I digress. In the documentary, you're able to see every aspect of what it takes to make a movie like this. You see folks handcrafting and molding each tiny facial expression on each of these figures over and over again. They're not like moving an eyebrow. They're crafting new details for each frame of the movie. They had motion specialists on set having to think creatively of how things would be moved through air. Am I making sense here? They're figuring out how to make flowers grow, bloom, and glow using practical effects. There's like electricians on set trying to figure out how to make these lights work. Althea Chrome is like a knitter who specializes in miniature garments. She made Coraline's like iconic star sweater, and the thread was the width of like a piece of hair. Okay? She's knitting with how do you even do that? How do you even do that and the thread doesn't break? How do you even source the thread that small? There's so many details. There's so many details to this that like you cannot even imagine. She was the only person on the planet, at least from 2004 to 2009, who even had the skill to sew something that miniature at the time. Okay? She was the only person in the world. It's mind-blowing. What's interesting here is that you can feel the love and care that each of these individuals had for their specific medium. They're all trying to make a movie, of course, but when you zoom in to the every aspect of how this movie got made, everyone had a specific niche. One guy is world building through painting and building sets, practical set design. Another group of people are trying to make sure that each garment moved in a very human-like way. In watching this documentary, I felt, I don't know, a spark of hope for art, for artists, for people who spend a lifetime working at a craft, becoming an expert in their field, and wanting to create something that's bigger than themselves. They spent 5 years of their lives like meticulously working towards this larger goal. And I think that that's so beautiful and difficult, especially in today's day and age. Not to put my tin hat on, but in a day and age where we need like instant gratification, we're posting short form content, trying to keep the attention spans of so many people. Like the world is so different now than it was even 15, 20 years ago. And I feel like Coraline is such a feat in doing something really hard and doing something amazing. Highly recommend looking into the Leica documentary. And it was just a nice reminder to like look up the behind the scenes footage of all of these things. I feel like we used to have like special editions or behind the scenes looks when we had DVDs, but now that behind the scenes media is kind of lost. It's kind of a lost art. So look it up. It's so amazing to craft something with your hands and then film it and then get someone on the other screen like me to feel something like disgust or inspired or uneasy. It's finally time to talk about the movie. Coraline, my snarky sister. This movie kind of had an opposite effect on me over time for some reason. Usually when I watch a movie as a child, I'm looking through the lens of the child protagonist. So usually in any other movie, I would typically like just side with Coraline or just side with the kid because I'm a kid and I relate. And usually I would later resonate with like the parents or adult figure upon rewatch. Coraline flipped this upside down for me. When I was a kid, I was annoyed as hell at Coraline. I was like, you're so ungrateful. I was so irritated with Coraline's curiosity and need for more. I was like, clearly her parents are trying their best. She doesn't appreciate them. She is so mean to her neighbor Wybie. Why are you so mean? And his cat.
Ow! And I don't like being stalked. Not by psycho nerds or their cat.
Why are you so miserable, Coraline?
Immediately a savage. He goes, oh, I definitely heard someone. Why were you born? Beefing.
Like, just make it work. Grow up, figure it out. But in this case, as I've grown older and I rewatch, I'm like, yeah, I sympathize even more with Coraline. Her parents absolutely uprooted their lives. They treat her like an afterthought over and over again.
Coraline, I don't have time for you right now, and you still have unpacking to do. Lots of unpacking.
It's known and expected that Coraline is constantly neglected in the household. There's nothing but rotten, disgusting, unappetizing food in the fridge. For some reason, she has like no belongings in her bedroom, despite the fact that they're like pretty much fully moved in. It just kind of sucks. And Coraline seemingly can't do anything right. Her parents are prioritizing everything but their child's needs or wants. They punish her for enjoying childlike things like dolls or a new pair of gloves.
But Mom, the whole school's gonna wear boring gray clothes. No one will have these.
Put them back.
She was a child and should feel like the center of her parents' universe. She was an only child. It's complex to watch these parent-child dynamics as an adult because on the one hand, you understand fundamentally that the only reason that her parents are so neglectful is because they're working so hard for a life for Coraline, but in working for that life, they are completely ignoring what they're working for. Am I making sense? Are you following here? They're trying to be as stable as possible, but Coraline is interpreting this as like neglect because it is, and it leads her down a path of wandering into her other world. So Coraline follows these mice into a hole in the wall. It's giving Alice in Wonderland down the rabbit hole. It's giving a hero's journey. We are clearly being introduced to an entirely new environment, signaled by, I don't know, the ginormous and all-encompassing glowing tube that surrounds Coraline. And in turn, us as an audience.
They did the tunnel thing. I mean, it looks like practical effects, but I don't know. You know what I'm talking about? It must be like an actual plastic or paper like effect. I keep doing this as if this is giving a visual.
But when it spits her out, she's in an entirely new environment that mirrors her real life in layout. It's exactly the same as her real home. Real home, other home. We're going to have to use that verbiage here. But it's entirely different in spirit, in its aura, and in its liveliness. Not only is this new universe better than her real life in its vibrancy, dynamics, and energy, but it's a universe that has been made specifically to cater to Coraline's needs. It's not just like better. It's better for Coraline, crafted that way, meticulously, targeted. Her other parents can anticipate what she wants to do, what she wants to eat, how she wants to spend her time. They know exactly how she would have wanted her room to be decorated, which let's look at that for a second. Let's look at her damn room. I was obsessed with the purple walls, the solar system mobile, the white lace trim cascading above her bed frame. I feel like 100% I would have gotten got. I would have gotten got with that bedroom. This room had like magical dragonflies flying around perpetually. It was like her real room like came to life, literally came to life from a dream or a nightmare. What got me, bro, her picture frame had her best friends from back home in it. They were speaking to her. They were talking like they were on FaceTime. And as someone who moved far, far away from home, like this feeling of no longer being isolated, but centered and part of a community is what we're all kind of chasing ultimately, I think. To feel included and important, to feel like when you walk into a room, everyone lights up and is so excited. To feel like when you leave the room, people wish you were there. People notice that you're gone, even. Maybe that's just me. Perhaps I like this feeling or would like this feeling, but I feel like that's what Coraline is missing in her life, a feeling of like being seen at all. But throughout this movie, we go back and forth in between these two worlds, Coraline's real world and other world. And every time we go back to normal, it's just a further disappointment and reminder that her life sucks. She's just so ignored. It's not funny. It's like really not funny, especially like she's like a little kid. Like it's really not funny. But it's a further disappointment from the last. Coraline again is dismissed, forgotten, and left to her own devices. At a certain point, even knowing the doom that was about to ensue because I've seen this movie so many times, I was like, yeah, I stopped getting mad at Coraline for going back into the other world, because what else are you supposed to do? Her other world where her parents care what she has to say, her neighbors are warm and welcoming and catering to her needs, a world where she gets to fall asleep in a room that portrays her real personality, and ultimately she's no longer just like lingering in loneliness. Yeah, it makes sense that she would go back time and time again. I don't care that it was weirder every time. Yeah, I would go back. Of course, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is, right? Though the movie is complex and layered and at times scary, the lesson here is simple. The grass is greener where you water it. Through days of traumatic experiences and a complicated escape involving like a 50-foot spider web that she's crawling out, it's like stories high. Maybe her dad who turned into a pumpkin. Just that man who kind of was her dad, but kind of was an inanimate object. Or, I don't know, a mutant spider-like being that groomed her and was trying to soul suck her and turn her into a doll. She returned home. She returned home after that experience and she found a newfound appreciation for her real life. It's not perfect, okay? Her parents aren't perfect. Her home isn't perfect. A lot of things are a little wonky in Oregon, but she had a new appreciation for like her life, her real life, despite its dullness and stagnation. Coraline is such an unbelievably stunning movie, made tirelessly over a 5-year span of time, made by people who loved their craft so much. And you can see the work that's been put in every single frame of this movie. Like this video if you like this video, and let me know in the comments, did this movie ever make you feel physically ill, or am I just a freak? Let me know. Sound off. Please let me know. I can't be the only one. And I'll see you next week. I love you so much. Bye.